Thank you.
How was your eyesight on this gift of a Thursday morning?
Yeah, very well. Good.
Is it a myth that if one eats your carrots, particularly as a child, that it impacts your sight positively? Is it fact or fiction?
Okay, we have several myths and several facts about eyesight. Now, when it has to do with kids, having a good eyesight, it's very important. And the myth is usually if you use glasses, it's going to get your eyes bad. That's a very big myth. Yeah, it's not a fact.
Very well. Very well. Doctor, what is the significance of World Sight Day and why is the focus on children this time around?
World Sight Day, it's a global event. It's a day set aside to educate the world and also encourage them on the importance of taking their eye health as a priority. So this year, we are focusing on the kids. Over the years, we've been dealing on Love Your Eyes. Last year, we did on Love Your Eyes at Work. So this year, we are dealing on the kids because a good eyesight or a good eye health can never be over-exaggerated on kids. If a child doesn't have a good eye health, learning is going to be a problem. If a child doesn't have a good eyesight, sometimes you find out that a child is not concentrating on their schoolwork. You think it's about the child. You think it's about the child doesn't want to concentrate. It's about the child's eye health. So every child has the right to good eyesight for a better vision, for a better learning, because if you see a child gets a book to read, they don't last long. They read for some minutes and from they are tired. They will tell you, I don't want to read again. Some read and jump letters. Now, in that case, they may not be able to tell you that this is what I'm experiencing. And sometimes they think this is how everyone sees. So because they think that is how everyone sees, they relax and say, if there is a problem. So it makes them not even to be interested in reading. Because once they get a book, it's not matching up, they will drop it.
Very well, Doctor. Yeah. Let's have a look at the theme for this year's commemoration.
The theme for this year is Love Your Eyes Kids. Now, why it's very important, especially in this our African region, you can go to a school for a screening and the only kids you will see that will tell you that they have tested their eyes is only the kids you see using glasses. Now, all other kids have not ever tested their eyes, and then it shouldn't be so. A child that is going to school, in fact, before a child starts school, the eyes should be tested to even be sure, because if a child is going to school, they are going to school not just with their brain, their eyes need to see before the brain will be able to interpret. So you need to take a child that is going to school to go and test to be sure what this child is seeing, to be sure there is a proper sight and vision. Now, when you go to a school, you find out that majority of the kids have not tested. Now, this is to show you that eye health is not yet a priority among kids. So this is why we are saying this year, please, let's encourage our parents, our teachers, the kids to make their eye health a priority. Because once it's a priority, they will learn to know, okay, it's time for me to get my eye tested. And once the child is seeing well, you see they will improve in their academics.
Whenever I find myself in a remote village where there is no optometrist,
okay, as a company in Shetanodi, we had a few months ago, we have a program where we have to go to the north, to the south, to the schools, where there are no optometrists based there, so that we can screen these kids. Now, in this screening, you can find out, I can tell you, there are several of the kids that are having both sight and vision problem, and we try as much as possible to provide them with glasses. Now we're also calling out other companies if you want to sponsor for us to go further, because we are looking for that to ensure that we go to schools, because there are remote villages where there are no optometrists and there is no education. The parents does not even know that these kids should be screened.
Why are you observing such a high prevalence of sight and vision problems? And while we are at it, perhaps distinguish between what constitutes a sight problem and what amounts to a vision problem.
Okay, when we are talking about sight, we're talking about how far you can see. When we are talking about vision, we are talking about the interpretation of what you are seeing in the brain. Now, most times these days, In those days, why is as if it's more now? In those days, it's there, but the kids were suffering without them knowing. Now, the knowledge is coming up by day, okay? So we need to know that these kids have this problem, and we need to find out what the problem is. Some of the kids that some teachers or some will say they have dyslexia might not be dyslexia. It might be an eye problem that needs to be fixed, because some will be, I've tested kids that teachers will say, go and test your eyes. Tell your mom, call the school is calling, go and test your eyes. Some parents say, oh, there's nothing really wrong, but let's just obey the teacher. And then at the point you are testing, you find out that this kid is actually nearsighted. It's not even seeing anything. Now the kid that is not seeing clearly on the board is copying from the other person. So if the other classmates copied wrongly, that kid is going to copy wrongly from this other person. And when they go home, you want to read what you've copied, right? You're going to read the wrong thing. So how do you expect this kid to understand its class?
So what other signs that parents can be on the lookout for? You flagged an issue relating to accommodation problems earlier also, which I believe would result under vision problems.
Yeah, right? Yes, that is under vision problem. Now, one of the things parents should do, I encourage every parent, if you have kids and they are about to start school, do not let them start school until their eyes have been tested. Because if you can say, okay, how will I know? Yeah, sometimes the child can complain of headache. Sometimes the child can complain of not focusing or missing, because they might not even come up clearly to say, this is what I'm experiencing. Now, the best way for you to know whether my child is having eye problem or not is let them have their eye test first before they start school. So that way you will be able to know if your child is seeing or not. And that is not a one-time thing. Yes, because if you say, oh, I've tested them when they start school, then after 6 years, you have not tested again, the kid's eyes again. It doesn't make any sense.
So how often should the eyes be tested?
At least 2 years, if there is no any condition dictated at the first testing.
Minimum 2 years?
Yeah, minimum is 2 years.
Any final thoughts, doctor, before we let you go?
Okay, eye health for young kids is very important. It's an important part of the profession that we don't joke with, because we understand that these kids are always making use of the eyes. They make use of the eyes to see at school. When they come back home, they will need to do their homework and other things, and they make use of the eyes. So it's very important as parents, teachers, because this one side is not just for us the optometrists in the profession. You are calling out parents. Look out for these things. Look for your kid. Teachers, when a child is not doing well, it's not for the child, for you to say, oh, this child is a slow learner, or this child is not. Have you ever sat down to check if this child is actually seeing properly? Mm-hmm. So that is very important. And in terms of the screen these days, there is online learning and there is entertainment in the aspect of screen. Now, we encourage parents as well. Please, phones are not nannies. They cannot replace your duty. They cannot replace the nanny duties. If you keep giving them phone every time, it means you are exposing them to something that is not good for them. There should be an hour or 2 hours a day that a child should be exposed to a screen. If a child is exposed to a screen beyond that, it's going to affect that child. Now, we have kids that are developing nearsighted because of so much exposure to screen, and the ones that are already short-sighted, that you see that there is progressing like every 6 months. The progress is too much because they are always on the screen. Mm-hmm. So please, if your child is on the screen beyond 2 hours per day, it means they are doing more than they should do on the screen. And remember that there could be dry eyes as well, because the child is on the screen all the time.
Thank you very much for your time and sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
May we continue seeing well and love our eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Optometrist Dr. Joy Obina-Jakes talking to us about World Sight Day. This time around, focus is on the young ones. We'll be back after a brief break.